Here are today's top stories. A Pulse Asia survey says 83% of Filipinos appreciate the Duterte administration's fight against criminality and illegal drugs. Damage caused by Typhoon to agriculture reaches over 26 billion pesos. Metro Manila and 3 other regions are considering increases in the minimum wage this October. And the Center for the Preservation of Indigenous Languages opens in Bataan. Good day, I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. President Rodrigo Duterte vows to continue the relentless fight against corruption and illegal drugs. This, as recent Pulse Asia survey showed, a majority of Filipinos approve of the government's leadership, particularly in efforts to fight crime and enforce the law. Rom Dulfo has the story.
The Duterte administration received an 83% approval score for its effort to fight criminality based on a September 2018 Pulse Asia survey. Pulse Asia also said only 3% disapprove of the administration's efforts to keep the streets safe and secure, while 14% were undecided. The survey also showed Filipinos most appreciate the administration's initiative in protecting the welfare of overseas Filipino workers, followed by responding to the needs of areas affected by calamities and in fighting corruption.
Unang-una po, nagagalak po ang ating presidente na kinilala ng ating taong bayan, yung mga ginagawa ng ating presidente, lalong-lalo na po dito sa issue ng patuloy na giyera laban sa kriminalidad. No?
For his part, President Duterte promised to continue his relentless fight against corruption and illegal drugs until the last day of his administration. During the oath-taking of the new career executive service officers and awarding of 2018 outstanding public servants at Malacanang Palace, the President lamented the presence of corruption in almost every government transaction.
I can swallow it, 1 or 2. Puro yung medisina, por Diyos, sabi ko. Huwag ninyong talagang pumutok ako. And in front of all the officers of the police and the armed forces, I said, sayang naman yung pagod ko, wala man yung mangyayari. Since I cannot stop corruption, I am now offering to step down as president. Sabi ko na wala man tao dito to witness it. If the 5 major commanders of the Navy, Army, Air Force, and Agbayalde was there, kung magtindig kayo and say that my time is up, I will go. Not because I am afraid of you or I am afraid to die. We will all die. Ang akin na lang, sabi ko, if you do it, do not do it with a melodramatic thing.
The President urged the CESOs and awardees to be models of good public servants and join his crusade against graft and corruption. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
The government assures the public that it is taking steps to control the impact of soaring inflation. Davao City Representative Carlo Nograles says the government is already acting on the spike in rice prices, which is among the factors that fueled inflation to a 9-year high of 6.4% in August. Malacanang has ordered the release of a total of 330,000 metric tons of rice stocks to boost supply in the market and protect consumers from profiteers and hoarders. The NFA Council is also taking steps to improve rice procurement efforts by providing incentives to rice farmers who sell their palay to the NFA. President Duterte, meanwhile, signed an administrative order removing non-tariff barriers and streamlining procedures on the importation of basic agricultural commodities. Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea called for measures to reduce the gap between farm gate and retail prices of agricultural products. Medialdea also sought measures that will ensure efficient delivery of imported products from the ports to the markets. The Philippines and China are preparing for the state visit of President Xi Jinping to the country by the end of the year. Chinese Ambassador Zhao Jinhua says they are in close coordination with the Filipino government to prepare for the possible state visit at a yet unspecified date. Xi was invited to the Philippines by President Rodrigo Duterte when they first met in October 2016. Foreign Affairs Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano earlier said the two sides are eyeing November for the trip after a mutually accepted draft agreement on the joint exploration in West Philippine Sea is signed. At the reception of the 69th founding anniversary of the People's Republic of China in Makati, Shangri-La, Zhao cited the sustained betterment and growth of relations between the two countries since Duterte assumed the presidency. Zhao also hailed China and the Philippines' military-to-military relationship, hoping that both sides will further strengthen mutual confidence and cooperation. Estimated agricultural damage due to Typhoon Ampong has reached over 26 billion pesos nationwide, based on a report from the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council. The damaged areas were in regions 1, 2, 3, 4A, 5, 6, and the Cordillera Administrative Region. Ampong affected about 170,000 farmers in Car alone. Meanwhile, Agriculture Secretary Emmanuel Piñol has identified desiltation, the process of removing silt from water bodies, as a priority activity for rehabilitating the affected areas. Piñol cited the need to desilt the country's longest waterway, the Cagayan River in northern Luzon. He said desiltation will protect food production in Luzon from further floods caused by overflowing rivers. Flooding was one of several concerns governors raised before the agriculture chief. Malacanang is confident that President Rodrigo Duterte has the overwhelming support of the police and military amid reports of attempts to oust him. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says Duterte, as Commander-in-Chief, has done so much for the AFP as well as the PNP. Roque noted the president has doubled the wages of police and soldiers and regularly visits their camps. He had also defended the housing units of AFP and PNP personnel from those that seek to occupy them. The palace spokesman says Duterte is sure that the AFP and PNP will follow their mandate and focus on their duties. Typhoon Paeng continues to move slowly to the north and might exit the Philippine area of responsibility on Saturday. Pag-asa says Paeng, which weakened as it moved further away from the country, was last located east-northeast of Basco, Batanes this morning. The typhoon is moving slowly with maximum sustained winds of 160 kilometers per hour near the center and gustiness of up to 195 kilometers per hour. The Weather Bureau also spotted a low-pressure area 2,915 kilometers east of Mindanao. The low-pressure area is expected to enter the Philippine area of responsibility on Tuesday. Both weather systems still have little effect on the country. Still to come, Metro Manila and 3 other regions are looking at increases in the minimum wage this October. 3 islands in Iloilo are set to be declared rabies-free. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Yung textbook ko, yung talaga yung fundamental na daladala ko. So whatever or whenever kailanganin, confident ako na may bibigay ko yun. Ako po si Ibrahim Palmado. Tubong Quezon ako, Tayabas City. Ang ama ko ay pagsasaka ang kinabubuhay at ang aking ina naman ay sa extra sa paglalabada. Ang buhay namin noon, bahala na kung anong kakainin sa araw. So mag-ikot ka doon, tinan mo kung anong pwede mong madaanan na gulay. Ang pangarap ko talaga ng high school ako ay maging isang engineer. But dahil nga alam ko at alam naman na family ko na hindi talaga kayang ibigay yun, yung ino-offer ng dual tech nun is electromechanical technology ay technical pa rin. So andun pa rin yung gusto ko. Program kasi ng dual training system, may tinatawag silang basic skill courses and then advanced skill courses. So yung basic skill courses, ino-offer nila yon on the first year ng dual training. Pag nag-OJT ka na, mag-aalat ka lang ng 1 day sa school para yung mga advanced courses, kunin mo ng 1 day and then i-apply mo sa company kung saan ka nag-OJT. Currently, sa ngayon, yung trabaho ko, yung technical hindi nawawala. Kasi legal compliance, napaka taas ng kailangan nila sa technicality.
Brian joined us a little bit more than 2 years ago, and already during the interview, it became clear that due to his dual education, he has a very wide know-how on the related topic.
Nung makagraduate ako, yung gasera ng ilaw namin sa bahay, naging kuryente yon. Sa ngayon, nakatira ako sa Calamba. So, meron na akong bahay, nasa isang subdivision, meron na rin sasakyan, and then meron na rin akong isang business consultancy firm. So, isa ako sa board of director. Napakapalad ko pa rin at nakapasa ako dun sa scholarship ng TESDA. Para dun sa mga wala talagang possible na support, isa yung heard prayer. Ako si Brian, nangarap, nag-TESDA, ngayon Environment and Safety Engineer na.
Some 4 regional wage boards are expected to issue their respective salary adjustments for workers in the private sector next month. Labor Undersecretary Ciriaco Lagunzada III said these are the regional tripartite wages and productivity boards of Region 2, Mimaropa, Northern Mindanao, and the National Capital Region. He said Northern Mindanao has already completed its deliberation and the draft wage order has already been transmitted to the Secretariat. Public consultations in Region 2 are still ongoing while the public hearing in Mimaropa is already completed. Meanwhile, the NCR Wage Board will meet on October 5 to discuss a timeline of issuance of a wage order. The Wage Board is considering a 20 peso minimum wage hike for Metro Manila workers. The National Food Authority expects prices of commercial rice to go down by 3 pesos per kilogram within a month. NFA spokesperson Rex Estuper says the NFA Council already increased the participation of subsidized rice in the market. This means the supply of NFA rice available in the market would go up to 128,000 bags per day. Estuper says aside from increasing the market participation of NFA rice, the country still has stock with more imports to come and supported by local production. He said the current inventory is at 2.3 million bags. Some 750,000 metric tons of imported rice are expected to arrive in the coming months. Estuper said that government expects to maintain a rice supply of 6 million bags until year-end. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas made several adjustments to its figures this week in response to continued pressures from inflation. Miguel Hill tells us more.
The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas raised key rates by another 50 basis points for the same reason it did just 6 weeks ago, on the persistent signs of sustained and broadening price pressures. To date, the central bank's key rates have been hiked by 150 basis points, bringing the overnight reverse repurchase or RRP rate to 4.5%, the repurchase or RP rate to 5%, and the overnight deposit rate to 4%. The BSP said risks to inflation outlook are still leaning towards the upside, with supply-side forces expected to continue to drive inflation in the coming months. Average inflation as of the end of August this year stood at 4.8%, higher than the 2 to 4% target band until 2020. Last August alone, inflation rose to a multi-year high of 6.4% from month ago's 5.7% due to the faster rate of price increases of fish, rice, meat, and vegetables. The BSP also raised its average inflation projections for 2018 and 2019. The central bank pointed to the continued increase in the price of rice along with the impact of Typhoon Ompong on agricultural products. It said inflation is projected to return to the 2% to 4% target band in 2019 if the proposed rice tariffication bill is signed into law. The BSP, however, pointed out that investments were stronger this second quarter, which is why the economy remained stable. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
Korean company BizLink has committed to invest as a new locator in the Freeport area of Bataan. Emmanuel Pineda, chairman of Freeport area of Bataan, and Virgilio Pagulayan, president of the BizLink's Philippine subsidiary, signed a memorandum of agreement on the Korean firm's $1 billion investment. Pineda said the firm is seen to generate 10,000 jobs upon full completion of its projects. BizLink will build a multi-story information technology building which will house an IT school that intends to have 1,000 graduates every year. It will also develop a 26-hectare property for a mixed-use complex. The Bataan Freeport presently has 41,000 workers in 136 multinational companies. A total of 60 new People's Army members, including 4 women combatants and 2 child warriors, surrendered to authorities in the municipality of Gipo, Zamboanga del Sur. Lieutenant Colonel Marlo Patria, commander of the Army's 53rd Infantry Battalion, said the rebels surrendered due to hardships in the mountains and the loss of confidence in their cause. The surrenderers will be enrolled in the government's livelihood program for rebel returnees. 5 other rebels, including a female combatant who surrendered last month, also received 65,000 pesos worth of cash assistance each. In Zamboanga City, 2 members of the Abu Sayyaf group surrendered in the Philippine Marines as government offensives against the kidnapped for ransom group continue in Sulu. The military also called on the remaining ASG members to surrender for a chance to have a new life. These islands of Concepcion, Iloilo will be declared as rabies-free by the end of September 2018. These are Salvacion, Malagabang, Baligyan, and Sombrero. The Provincial Veterinarian's Office says these islands have maintained 0 human and animal rabies cases in the past 2 years. They have also properly implemented and enforced their ordinances related to rabies and animal movement and have high coverage of vaccination. The islands are scheduled to be declared by the National Rabies Prevention and Control Committee in Manila as rabies-free on September 28. In 2015, the islands of Botlog, Daku, and Pan de Azucar were declared rabies-free. Over 160,000 dogs have already been vaccinated in the entire province, equivalent to 64.9% of the dog population. Up next, Cordillera officials prepare a tent city in anticipation of heavy rains from Typhoon Paeng. A center for the preservation of indigenous languages opens in Bataan. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Daya 2018.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development in Cordillera has set up 43 tents at the Wangal Sports Complex in La Trinidad, Benguet to serve as a relocation site for evacuees. This as authorities monitor Typhoon Paeng, which is expected to bring heavy rains to Baguio and Benguet over the weekend. Food and non-food supplies have also been pre-positioned at the warehouse at the site. PSWD said more tents will be put up at the elevated portion of the grounds. The tents are ready for occupancy once typhoon rains are felt in Baguio and Benguet, with priority being given to residents in declared danger zones in Itugon. The residents have been informed of the preemptive evacuation as early as September 21. Identified as susceptible to landslides are barangays Virac, Tuding, Lawakan, Ucab, Poblacion, Gumatdang, and Ampucao. Here's something to motivate everyone to exercise. A joint study has shown that exercise not only benefits the body, but also improves the memory. Researchers from the University of California, Irvine in the United States and the University of Tsukuba in Japan conducted the study. Scientists invented 36 volunteers who were in their early 20s to do 10 minutes of light exercise before taking a memory test. The same experiment was repeated with the same group without exercising. The researchers also scanned brains of some of the participants during the experiment. They found enhanced communication between regions involved in the storage and recollection of memories in brains of those who had exercise. This suggested that just 10 minutes of light exercise like walking, yoga, or Tai Chi might boost memory power. Researchers are still working to look at the effects of light exercise on older people. Joshua Pasha dedicated his latest fight in the One Championship cage in Jakarta last Sunday to his relatives, friends, and their fellow residents in Itugon, Benguet. The huge landslide in Itugon caused by Typhoon Ampong happened just 7 kilometers away from Team Lakay's home turf of Baguio. Pasha, who considers Itugon his home, also has relatives in Itugon. The tragedy in Itugon gave Pasha extra motivation to vie for Yoshitaka Nasho's One Straw Weight Championship at One Conquest of Heroes. Pasha succeeded in taking the belt, beating Nasho via unanimous decision in the main event. Danny Kingad, who beat Yuyu Wakamatsu earlier in the card, also dedicated his win to the people of Itugon. He also expressed optimism that the town will bounce back quickly following the storm. Local officials opened the country's first Bahay Wika facility in efforts to preserve the indigenous languages of the Aitas in Bataan. Maricor Zapata has the story.
More than 500 Aitas of the Magbukon tribe live in Bangkal village in the mainly farming and fishing town of Abukay in Bataan province. But most of the native children here no longer speak their language, quite literally. Village elders are thus glad the government has put up here, near the slope of Mount Natib, the first Bahay Wika in the country. Funded by the Bataan provincial government, the language education facility is aimed at saving endangered Philippine languages. Abukay Town Mayor Liberato Santiago Jr. and national artist Virgilio Armario, chairman of the National Commission for Culture and the Arts, led the opening of the building on September 27. The facility will serve as classroom for Aita children 5 years old and below to learn the Aita Magbukon language. Mayor Santiago says he has learned that the Aita Magbukon language is endangered, but to him, the language is part of a culture that should not be forgotten. The Aitas of the Magbukon tribe live in the towns of Abukay, Orion, Limay, and Mariveles in Bataan. Almario, who also heads the Komisyon sa Wikang Filipino, or the Commission on the Filipino Language, said out of 131 languages in the Philippines, 30 are at risk of dying or being forgotten. The national artist says language should be preserved and passed down to the children. He says the Bahay Wika, literally meaning the house of language, in the Aita village is the first ever experiment in the Philippines. Almario hopes this will succeed in getting the attention of the people who might want to preserve endangered Filipino languages. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Here's another look at today's top stories. A Pulse Asia survey says 83% of Filipinos appreciate the Duterte administration's fight against criminality and illegal drugs. Damage caused by Typhoon to agriculture reaches over 26 billion pesos. Metro Manila and 3 other regions are considering increases in the minimum wage this October. And the Center for the Preservation of Indigenous Languages opens in Bataan. Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Good day.